Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Just a quick little intro before we get to the big episode with Randy Blythe from Lamb of God, my brother from another mother, and it's his birthday. Probably by the time you hear this, the day this comes out, it's probably his birthday. So go wish him a happy birthday and support Randy on his book tour and the release of his new book. It is called Just Beyond the Light, and you can get it where all books are sold, whether it's the indies, the Amazons. Go to his site, randyblythe.com, which is RANDYBLYTHE.com. Thank you so much to everybody who came out to Thrash Thursday back in January and February. We had a great time. Thank you to Bobby Blythe. Thank you to Tommy Victor. And we got another one coming up March 27th. Tickets are on sale now. Both shows sold out, so this one is going to sell out too. Make sure you get your tickets before they are gone. Go to martyrstore.net. And while you're there, you can get your meet and greets for Milwaukee Metal Fest and Hatebreed merch, Crowbar merch, Jasta merch, and many other things. Go to martyrstore.net, use the code RANDY10, and you will save 10% off. While we're talking about Milwaukee Metal Fest, you might have heard or seen the big news. I will be singing for the SOD tribute, Storm Breeders of Death, Friday, May 16th, appearing with Chimera, Down, Enslaved, Paradise Lost, and many others at the Milwaukee Metal Fest. Get your tickets now at therave.com/metalfest. It's going to be a great time with Scott Ian, Danny Lilker, Scott's son Rev, and yours truly on the mic. A tribute to one of the best records of all time. One last plug before we get to the chat with Randy Blythe. I am headed out to New Zealand and Australia. We will be supporting Day to Remember in Auckland at Event Find a Stadium, and then we'll be playing the 3 big Knotfest shows with Slipknot and Slaughter to Prevail and many other bands. Plus, we have 3 headline shows. Melbourne's already almost sold out, but let's get those Brisbane and Sydney tickets moving. This will probably be our last Australian tour for a very long time. So make sure you get your tickets. Go to destroyalllines.com. Big thanks to all our sponsors. Got to shout out indiemerchstore.com. Use the code JASTA10. Got to shout out Unbeaten Records. Make sure you check out unbeaten.merchnow.com and use the code unbeaten15. Of course, big thanks to Blast Beats Vinyl. Same code, JASTA10, as always, blastbeatsvinyl.com if you want some great vinyl deals. And last but certainly not least, check out upstatenewyork.com. upstateny.com will get you to the Upstate New York Records site and check out all their music. All right, we got Randy Blythe on the show. Hit the music.
My friend, the lead singer of Hatebreed, the infamous and notorious Jamey Jasta is in the building. That's what's up.
Jamey Jasta from the metal band Hatebreed. That guy's famous.
Coffee, death metal, and push-ups.
That's Jamey Jasta. Remember Jamey Jasta? You know him. He's podcast, but he's also a metal man.
I would say delete that.
That shit is hard.
Your host, Jamey Jasta, Hatebreed.
Locally owned independent bookstores and have them order it, because that way you're keeping your money in your local economy, And,
Yeah.
And that's important,
All right, that is your last, You are not allowed to say, for the rest of the show, because I'm already getting texted about it.
Uh-oh.
Yep. And I noticed.
It's part of my the spoken word tour. It's part of the intro. I'm like, don't say yet too much.
I gave you 2, and you used them up quick, Randy. And I like that you even reference retired words or words that you feel are overused right now in the book.
Right.
That was one of the standout things in in reading the book, because I thought for sure when I got to that chapter you were going to say moist, because I know you hate the word moist.
Right, but everybody doesn't run around saying moist constantly unless they're just trying to piss me off. But
I felt a little attacked because unprecedented is good for heavy metal right now and hardcore music, because we are seeing unprecedented things happening in both subgenres of heavy music. But I get what you're saying.
Like what? What is
Okay.
unprecedented?
Okay. You, out of all people,
That's me. Yeah.
should, I think, feel like the harshest of harsh vocals being mainstream now to the point where it's acceptable, especially when you started getting flack for it. I was like, oh, thank God. Somebody is absorbing all the shit I got to go through. At the same time, I felt bad for you because it was on an even bigger level than what I had dealt with it. But then you became the vocalist that you are, and people realized they love this style of vocal, and
Right.
it's just as commercial or just as acceptable or just as palatable once people adopt it and realize, okay, this is powerful. They're saying something. It's over this killer bed of riffs. But now it's happening even more so. It's not like when it was when you started, when people are like, they said it about both of us. This is never going to go anywhere with this style of vocal.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, it's not unprecedented. Because where we are,
The heights it's reaching.
where we are recording this very thing in the Lower East Side of New York City, near where so much history occurred. New York, birthplace of the Ramones. When they came out and they played at CB's, which you and I have both done, people were, this is garbage. This is horrible. Like, how can anybody listen to this? It's so fast and aggressive. Even though they were basically just a sped up pop band, you know.
Hits.
But now the Ramones are on like a BMW commercial or something. So this is nothing new. This is not unprecedented.
All right, then I should say in certain lanes it's unprecedented. Like you or I wouldn't have gotten, say, a Coachella offer. And it was discussed, and I was even...
Did you get a Coachella offer?
No. But now, bands with way harsher vocals than you or I had on records are getting Coachella offers. So I guess it's a case-by-case thing. And they're playing, and they're doing great. Like Code Orange played it. I think
Right.
Knocked Loose played it or is playing it.
Sure.
Others are going to be playing it or playing it. And I know you've done the late-night TV shows. That was unprecedented at the time, besides for maybe like
if you look at once
Megadeth
again,
or Slayer.
No, but even earlier than that, if you look at Saturday Night Live,
But
once again here in New York City,
I know
John Belushi, he had Fear
but
on,
Fear was largely more accessible vocally.
right, but they were a punk rock band when it was way harsher to be a punk rocker back then.
I agree, and I appreciate that I'm not living in an echo chamber right now, but it's okay.
So basically what is happening is that what we do, what we created, this sort of our era of our community, you know, oops, there was the, our era in this music, beep, I just got fined $50 in the Sheriff Jasta.
The buzzer, I should have had it.
In our era, what is happening is that the mainstream is finally catching up and starting to co-opt it, and it's happened to every single like form of underground music, you know.
Yeah. That's 3, Randy. You're 5. You're 5 total. Okay? Do we need to put up, like, what if we give you a collar? Like a, collar?
Can I get
we buzz you?
This is good practice because I'm doing this I'm doing this spoken word tour, and in the beginning I'm like, don't say too much.
The only people that have beat you, because we have fans that have counted the most
Right.
and it was Zeus. Shout out to Zeus. I love you, Zeus. I'm sorry to put you.
Well, he's not used to being with a microphone, so
Right, and he hasn't done the podcast since,
Right.
probably because people were breaking.
You know.
And Ellefson, he had a lot right out of the gate.
A lot of knows.
But back to the retired words, I thought once I got through the chapter, I thought, okay, this is what I'm talking about. This is the Randy content that I love and I enjoy because I'm the same way. I had the lyric police. I want the bands to stop saying fire, rise, fade away.
Well, in Lamb of God, we really basically every album, it's almost impossible not to slip in something about fire. It's so cool, but we're always there's also lots of drowning. So we're always like we're either burning or drowning. It's like we're in a flaming dinghy sinking. That's Lamb of God, just on fire, sinking lyrically.
Yeah. Look, it'd be like Kerry King trying not to diss Jesus or something.
Right,
like
yeah, it would be entirely unnatural.
Blood, fire.
Yeah, can you imagine Carrie doing a record without blood or fire?
There's blood everywhere.
Everywhere. It's
on the stage, on the records.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it now. I'm easing up because
on the lyric police?
Yes, I think it's too restrictive. You got another drowning in you. You got another flame in you.
You get one more. I don't. What about Rise? That's a tough one.
That one's
it's
done.
Still deaded, huh?
Where are we rising to? What is going? There's an unprecedented amount of rising going on.
Sure. Yeah.
But let's back it up. So I got ahead of myself in the chapters and what I wanted to talk about with the book. And everyone, make sure you go pre-order it now. Just Beyond the Light. Your second book, did you write in the same location? Did you go to Cape Fear again, or was this written piecemeal?
No, most of this was written in Richmond and on tour. The proposal was finalized actually in the Cayman Islands. I was there working in a studio and finished writing the proposal in the Cayman Islands and then sent it off. And then I wrote some of it on tour and most of it in Richmond.
Now,
because my house in Cape Fear, I lost it because it was a rental.
Right.
And it was only $650, and it was a block from the beach, and it was wonderful. But I was on tour, and my neighbor called me, and he's like, there's meth head contractors in your house. The 99-year-old landlord has decided to renovate. And I didn't have a lease. It was just an old school, like, hey, I'll pay you rent. And so I came home off tour and moved everything into a storage space, which I moved finally all my stuff up because I know you have a storage space problem too. I had two. I only have one now.
Don't do it, everyone. Actually, if you're going to do it, just start your own storage space.
That's right.
Business, because it's like one of the biggest growing business.
Right. Too much stuff.
You know, if we have the gene, it can be like anything else and just turn destructive.
Highly destructive.
It's so addictive. And I see people coming and I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. And they laugh. I'm like, and then I'll see them again a month later and like, I'm up to 2. And I'm like, stop. No. Minimize. Downsize.
Yes. We got to get rid of this stuff.
Get rid of it. Go to dpop.com/Jasta. Everything must go. But how was it writing in Richmond and on the road as opposed to Cape Fear? Because it sounded like so amazing for the mind and the breeze coming in.
Right. Yeah. It was a lot harder. And also this book, I didn't exactly know what I was going to be writing about in the totality of the book, unlike Dark Days, my first book, which it was a very sad experience. Everybody knows about it. I went to I went to prison in the Czech Republic and got bailed out and went to trial and was found not guilty. It was a horrible experience, not just for me, but for the parents of this young man who died, right? But all of that stuff provided a story. You knew how it started, and it was a classic 3-act narrative structure, just like a novelist would write it. There's the inciting incident, which is me being arrested and and being sent to prison, and then there's the rising action, which is me being in prison longer, getting out on bail, and then there's the climax, the denouement, when I go to trial and found not guilty. So that's like, it's a story. It's a story arc, and I knew what that story arc was. And it wasn't definitely the funnest thing to write about. It wasn't like, oh boy, I'm loving writing about prison. But at least I knew the story's ending.
The structure, the outline was there.
It was there. And with this one, I knew I wanted to write about death and surfing, and that's it. So,
and I really waited to the bitter end to start it because I wasn't in the headspace. I was like, this is going to be sad. I can't do it.
Right.
Because I didn't know what it was about. I didn't Google anything. You didn't really tell me much.
Mm-hmm.
But when you sent it to me, I thought, well, first thing I thought was there's going to be a chapter about salad, and I have cats now, and I was like, I can't read this right now.
Oh.
And then I thought about your grandma, and I was like, I can't read anything about grandma. But when I got to that chapter, I was in a better headspace because you started so heavy with the Wayne Ford stuff, and I want to talk about that first.
Right.
I probably should have started the show with that. You're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry. The comedy is present too, which is great.
When we get, did you read the chapter? Did you read the chapter about my grandma?
Yes.
Okay. So when we discuss that, I want you to hand me the book. I'm going to read you something because I haven't told you.
Okay.
I haven't told you something.
Hey, everybody, just a quick interruption letting you know today's episode is brought to you by Milwaukee Metal Fest. That's right. Friday, May 16th through Sunday, May 18th. And also come to the pre-party with yours truly, Thursday, May 15th. We'll all be in Milwaukee, beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin, over at the Rave Eagles Club for Milwaukee Metal Fest 2025. Down, Chimera, Black Label Society, Devin Townsend, GWAR, Arch Enemy, Dillinger Escape Plan, Enslaved, Exodus with Rob Dukes back in the band. And who knows, maybe even Randy will come and join us, sing a song with me at the pre-party. Get your tickets now at metalfest.com or just go to therave.com/metalfest. Sign up for the email list and get your meet and greets at martyrstore.net. Link will be in the show notes. Now back to the show. Well, one thing that was a relief to me because I feel like I hold a lot of bad memories from the pandemic and adjacent things in that time frame.
Right.
One of the things that was a relief was that, you know, I remember you being there, but then when you articulated it in the book, it was you were closer. It wasn't like, I remember you texted me pictures where it looked like you had to talk to her through.
Right. Yeah, that was a big problem, and I was texting you because I know you send me pictures of you when you visit your nan. Is that what you call her?
Yeah, my nana. Yep.
Yeah, and I used to have to drive an hour and a half down to the assisted living facility where she lived, and I would stand in the yard. They made me stand like 50 feet away, and then they'd bring her out with a mask on onto her room, and I would just stand there and yell, "I love you!" And
it makes me so enraged,
dude.
to
she was
hear that. So I was like, I don't know if I could read this right now. But then the way that you went through everything,
yeah, that was my biggest worry during the pandemic was that because I mean, people die, but I was pretty sure I'm a pretty healthy dude. I'm going to live through it, and I did. But my biggest worry, my grandma died at 100.5 years old, you know? Yeah. And that's a
good run.
Yeah, it's a good one. But at the end, she was very feeble. And so like something like, you know, pneumonia or any sort of complication, it can take them out then. You know, and the thing that happened with the pandemic that was so terrifying for me is that they had locked these assisted living facilities down, and I understand why, because there's some very old, very vulnerable people in there, and I understood that, but it was also terrifying for me that she would get ill either from COVID or just regular. She's 100. She's going to start to die, and then no one is going to be able to be there with her.
Right.
And that really, for me, was my biggest fear, was that she would die without one of us there. And thank God, you know, we that was a but thank God we went through it. And in the end, I was able to be there. I was the one who was beside her when she died, you know, and I was so grateful.
Yeah, and that was a really uplifting part of the book that I was like, see, and it kind of references what you speak about in previous chapters where it's like this fear and anxiety that we have about being in touch with those feelings or even bringing up old stuff, which, you know, I'm still dealing with it. Like it still angers me to, you know, because I dealt with it with people going, oh, now fucking no symptoms is a symptom. Like, oh, now I'm going to fucking kill you when I'm perfectly fine and never had a common cold and I can't see my relative. But we don't have to get into all that. But So I was going into this book as
With
like
trepidation.
yes.
You're like, this is gonna upset me.
Yes. And what happens with me is, and I'm pretty sure it happens with you as well, these thought worms burrow into our minds.
You start catastrophizing.
Yes. And so once you got to that part in the book, I was like, of course.
Right.
But I don't want to get ahead of the Wayne Ford stuff, because that was an important chapter out of the start of the book that I want you to talk about. And although it made me very mad because I have a different outlook on the medical system and on leukemia in general and cancer in general than most.
Right.
I was reading it and just very happy that although we still have this, slash, burn, cut mentality surrounding these diseases, at the end he talked about taking cannabis oil and but just I don't want to get.
He was going out, dude.
I know,
and he
but
didn't want to be on. I mean,
but did the chemo kill him or did the cancer kill him? That's what I always wonder.
Dude, leukemia killed that guy. He was diagnosed, in his 20s and did his best to fight it and went through chemo. Did
he ever say what his symptoms were originally, or if he had it in his family? I had so many questions right out of the gate.
Right. Well, I'm not
33. I was like, like, how?
But dude, I've lost other people. Our old merch girl, I believe I write about it in the book.
Yeah.
Evie Carano, she got diagnosed with leukemia and was dead a week or 2 weeks later.
And that doesn't make you think nocebo as opposed to placebo.
What do you mean nocebo?
The power of the mind. Someone's saying you only have a week to live.
No, they didn't tell her that.
Okay, so it was progressed.
They diagnosed her with leukemia. Leukemia is real, dude.
No, I'm not saying it isn't, but I'm saying the way that it was going to be talked about in the book was something I was concerned about until I got through the chapter and kind of made peace with it, just like you made peace with him, pass. Now I'm saying fucking,
there you go.
You had a more sort of, you were further along in the stages of grief. This is the first time I'm hearing about this grief. So I'm living it through you, through the book.
Right.
And thinking, how does a 33-year-old, and I know it happens every day.
Leukemia, that's how.
But
it's a motherfucker.
But don't you think that we're on the precipice of some unprecedented
medical advances?
Well, I think of all these diseases and ailments and things. I think of it as like other challenges in life where once one person proves something otherwise, then it starts to accumulate. Right. And I would love for those stories to be amplified more and more. And I've been thinking about writing about them and getting involved with people who are beating the odds. But at the same time, I'm still learning from stories like Wayne's and how you dealt with it. So that way, when it doesn't happen and there isn't a happy ending, you're prepared to,
That's the whole thing. I wrote this story about Wayne, and a lot of Lamb of God fans will know this story already because it was publicized at the time. And I wrote a song about the Duke called The Duke, and that's the name of the chapter. And Wayne Ford was a young man I met at a show in Phoenix, Arizona. And he had just been diagnosed with leukemia, and I talked to him after the show and wished him luck. And after the show, we drove away, and I was like, man, I hope he makes it. He's a nice young guy. He's 27 or something like that at the time, him and his wife. And 5 years go by, and I get an email from his friends, and they say, look, Wayne has fought this really hard, and he's not going to make it. Can you get the band together to talk to him? And I'm like, no, they're in California tracking, and I'm in Virginia, but I will reach out to him. And I did, and we became friends. And as I said earlier, I knew I wanted to write about two things, death and surfing. And the reason why I wanted to start off the book with death, and I illustrate this theme through the story of Wayne Ford and the Duke, is because death is the ultimate boogeyman. It's the ultimate fear for everyone, their own mortality when it comes down to it. And I don't know how I'm going to behave when it's my time to die. I'd like to think that I'm going to be cool and heroic, and I'm going to look around at my gathered family and friends and say some wise shit. Yeah. something like really quotable. That's my ego thinking. But it could be I come to where it's time for me to die and I go, oh shit, I'm scared, right? I don't know. However, I do know that is going to come for me. It's going to come for all of us. And therefore, I think I'm going to handle it a little bit better if I start making peace with that fact right now. So I also know from meeting this young man, Wayne Ford, and befriending him the last couple of months of his life, that it is possible to die in a dignified manner, and it is possible to die with a calm, level head, and it is possible to meet your inescapable fate with your eyes and your heart wide open, because that's what that dude did. And then I've seen that happen again, and he was the first terminal fan I became friends with, but I've become friends with others since, and it's a very special part of my life as an artist when someone is dying and they give you some of their time, and they're always thankful, right? Anyone that I've met that is dying, that is a fan that I've met, they're like, thank you so much for taking the time. But they're giving me something far more precious, and that is some of their time, which has run out. It's all they have left. So if someone is dying and they spend even half an hour talking to you, that's an incalculable gift, dude.
I agree.
It's heavy.
And you said it very well in the book about, him changing your perspective. And then as I got through the chapter and got past my own bullshit, I go, there's Randy going, changing my perspective. And to, like I said earlier, to not be in an echo chamber about these things, because I am also one that loves the woo-woo. Like, I was hoping you were going to talk to him about NDEs and life reviews, and did he have a life review?
Right,
I mean,
right.
It's such a short life, 33. It really hit me. The chapter hit me right out of the gate, like with anger, and then like, Jesus fucking Christ. And I'm going through it, but at the end of the chapter, knowing that that positivity that you had affected both his parents and his wife, and vice versa.
Yeah. It's not my job. I think I was very nervous before I talked to him for the first time. Very nervous, because I was like, and I write about it in the book. It's like, what am I gonna say? How am I'm this dude in this popular band whose life is great, and I'm going to talk to this young guy who's dying. I'm very nervous. What if I say something worse? What if it makes the leukemia worse and it kills him quicker? What if I just make a buffoon of myself? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to get up here and tell some tour stories? Am I supposed to try and do my little stupid frontman song and dance to make him feel better? He's fucking dying, and I'm freaking out in my head, and I realize in this process, what am I thinking about really? I'm thinking about me. I'm not thinking about this dude. I'm thinking about me and my neurotic need to not appear ineffectual and to not look like a buffoon to this, in this situation. And I reeled that back in, and I talked to some people who had a lot of experience talking to dying people, and they confirmed what I come to conclude on my own, which is that it's not my job to do any of that stuff. It's not my job to try and make the situation better. And I think this is really hard, especially for dudes, because we want to fucking fix everything. Problem. How can we fix this? go through the logical steps of, you can't fix it when someone's croaking. So my job is not to do any of that stuff. My job is just to sit there and listen and be a human being, man. You know, be present and talk about what he wants to talk about. And if he was a sports guy, I'd sit there and talk to him about hockey.
Right.
You know, I know nothing about it, but I'd be like, cool, I don't know anything about it. Tell me about the Flyers or whatever your favorite team is. Or let's talk about Cannibal Corpse. Or let's talk about Resident Evil. Shout out. We could talk about Patreon shout out, who I told you I met him.
Shout out.
Let's talk about Resident Evil. I'll talk about whatever he wanted to talk about.
But did he?
So I asked him, I left room for those conversations to happen, for him to discuss afterlife, the woo-woo.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting. And
he didn't believe that it was punishment, right? Like, I don't believe any disease is punishment.
I don't know. He didn't.
Like, if you get lung cancer, I don't believe that it's the vape, like, punishing you for vaping or whatever. Because I know
it's
people
me
that
being
smoked.
a dumbass.
No, but I know people that smoked and lived to be 90.
Right, but there's a reason why I'm sober, though. Like, for every Keith Richards and William Burroughs, who lives for fucking ever doing heroin and drinking and everything, there's a bunch of people that you and I know who die way too quick from doing that. So the logical thing is, it's the substance.
We got to get Keith Richards on the phone. Who's his blood transfusion guy? Is it like a travel guy? Does a guy come with a bunch of bags in a cooler? All right, Keith, we're going to pump out the crap and pour in the new young...
I don't know, but that
donated blood.
That was the whole point of it, though. It was the point of that chapter, starting with this story about Wayne Ford, because that's the major theme of my book is perspective. Because I think we get in our own ways when we refuse to broaden our perspective in any way. When we think this is how things are. This is how I've always done things, and you don't question yourself. And as I get older, I try and question myself more, and I'm becoming more and more comfortable with the fact that I don't know absolutely anything.
Yeah, all I know is that I don't know.
Exactly.
But I appreciate it. We probably gave away way too much of the book already. So
no, that's the first chapter. It's kind of that's the reason. One reason why it's good to talk about that chapter, because the story is already known.
Hey, everybody. Quick interruption letting you know today's episode is brought to you by BlastBeatsVinyl.com, an independent, family-owned online extreme metal distro out of New Jersey. They import top European labels so you can dodge those $40 brutal shipping fees. From big names to deep underground, including limited edition, color runs, and exclusives, each vinyl's packed with extreme care in premium mailers. And right now, Jasta Show listeners and watchers can get 10% off their first order when you tell them Jasta sent you. Use code JASTA10 at checkout. Big thanks to BlastBeatsVinyl.com. Make sure you use that code JASTA10 at checkout, and link will be in the show notes. Now back to the show. Well, yes, and I think I appreciated it a lot because it was, to me, I got the focus on the importance of life and friendship and being present.
Being present.
Even in the face of someone knowing that, like you said, the time was limited. I guess part of me is because I'm recording a Hatebreed record and I'm doing a heel turn.
Right.
I was worried.
Are you doing a heel turn?
Yes.
See, you told me, you sent me a while ago, so you're like, when are you doing the heel turn? It's going to be so awesome because everything's going so great for you.
So I didn't want too much optimism. I'm like, I'm going to read this fucking book and he's going to rope me in with the black pill narcissistic fucking dark one, as you refer to it in the book. And I knew it. Like because I felt like this book was already in my mind, and I felt very connected to the book. So when it came, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Now he's talking about the dark one. And I've been trying to channel the dark one for this record.
Right.
Because I was like, yeah, you know what? If because I've gotten accused of whatever, being too, now they call it toxic positivity.
Toxic positivity, right.
So I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll give them what they want. Maybe I'll just give them like the real darkness.
Dip into the dark river.
Yeah. So for the heel turn, I thought, what if this book fucks up my heel turn? I don't want it to fuck up my heel turn. But
bad Jamey.
But back to Wayne Ford and my thoughts and my heart goes out to his family. People can go to bethematch.org. Non-retired words. I liked learning new words, like catalepsis. I also liked hobosexual.
Hobosexual. That's one of my favorite. It's hobosexual and this is generally directed at all you women out there who have a loser fucking boyfriend.
You're harboring homosexuals. Stop harboring homosexuals.
Stop harboring hobosexuals. Make him be a man. Stop paying his bills. Tell him to get his stupid weed smoking ass up off the couch and playing PlayStation. Go get a fucking job. Be a man. Do not fund the careers of these hobosexuals.
See, I had a whole record about this, the divinity of purpose, and I got criticized for promoting purpose.
I thought you were going to say for promoting homosexuality.
But I think this book, your purpose, part of your purpose is to bring some levity to tough subjects.
That's the only way I ever get through things, is laughing.
Yeah.
You know?
Even at the dark shit.
Even at the dark shit.
Like when I say, it was cool to say that, it was cool to read that he tried cannabis oil, and you're like, yeah, bro, at the end, like at the last fucking point.
He's not like weeding the cancer away, bro.
Right.
It's not like he's like, these dabs will cure this.
Right. Before I forget, we're bringing steak and titties back.
Amen.
We're bringing positivity back.
We're bringing it back. Thank fucking God.
Because steak and titties would be a good part of the heel turn. And people have been asking me for the shirts. I almost brought you a new one. But I live with vegans, as most people on my Patreon know. I don't talk about it too much on the public show.
Is it offensive to your household to talk about steak and titties?
Yes. The vegans, they don't even like a can of tuna in the house. But
right.
we
got to go steak and titties.
They permit it.
You need to let me come up to a Jasta and Friends show and we'll celebrate afterwards.
Please do. Because now these restaurants are getting the picture. Like they're getting the broader picture.
Right.
They're adding grass-fed. They're cooking it in tallow.
Kobe boobies.
No seed oils. Grass-fed butter. You can tell them, I want it cooked in avocado oil. You can,
Oh, really?
Yeah, steak is going to a whole new level.
Right. I thought you meant there's certain strip clubs that are doing it.
No, we'll
that
go
way.
there after.
I thought you had like, really? There's like...
Well, shout out to Pops.
Yeah,
in Sauget, Illinois.
Sauget, Illinois. You go over right across the parking lot to Diamonds or Showgirls or whatever it was.
Yeah, PTs.
I haven't been to Pops in years.
We were just there. It's still there.
Did Hatebreed play Pops?
Yeah. Be happy that you graduate. No disrespect to Pops. We always have a good time.
Right.
But you graduated to the pageant where we played with you.
Right.
We've played a couple times. I think we played there with Slayer. And the pageant it's a little bit next level from...
Right. But we could wind up back at Pops at any time.
It's always possible.
It's always possible. As a matter of fact, it's been in my mind this morning because I finally got around to reading Confess by Rob Halford, his book. Did you read it?
I did.
It is so... It was
gay.
Highly gay. It's the gayest book I think I've ever read.
By far.
But it's so sad.
I know.
And it's like finally Rob gets a boyfriend and he comes out of the closet and he goes through rehab. And I've never been so stoked that a dude got a boyfriend before. Because it's so sad him like going through being in priest and not being able to be himself because people are going to be like, fuck you, you're a fag or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But he was writing, speaking about he's writing, I'm tiered towards the end of the book and he's did the Halford Project. And
one of the best heavy metal records ever.
Right.
Don't put on Resurrection right now. I'll fucking break this whole place.
Right.
Dimebag, we would listen to that on the Headbangers Ball Tour.
Right.
Dime would play it so fucking loud in the dressing room. He had the Halford tattoo, the Resurrection tattoo. I think
it was the second Halford tour, though, that he did where he was talking about playing CBGB.
Yeah.
He was like, I was back. And under Judas Priest, lifetime ban of playing Madison Square Garden because they played it and destroyed it. Their fans did. He's like, I went from Madison Square Garden, headlining Madison Square Garden and having fans destroy it, to playing for people at CBGB's. And then another show he was talking about where I think 12 people showed up to see him. It's like, Jesus.
That would only happen to Lamb of God if you got fat or if you started rapping.
If I started rapping.
Like if you, like I've always said you could never be fat because you got fast twitch muscle and old man strength. You know? I don't see you ever.
I don't think it's going to happen.
No. But if you did, it would be disastrous for the career.
Fat Randy.
Nobody wants Fat Randy. Other people can get away with it, but not you. But if you did, I know you have bars. Like I know you would spit fire. I just don't think the audience would.
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't take kindly to it. I've thought about secretly doing it under an assumed name, just dropping some ill shit.
You should.
And not telling anyone. And
every backpack rapper would want to collaborate with you because you're almost like an honorary backpack rapper.
Yeah.
Right? Like Jedi Mind Tricks would be like, oh yeah, Randy, I'm down.
Yeah, totally.
Right? I'm not saying Jedi Mind Tricks is backpack rap. I don't know the subgenres of rap.
Right.
But
I'm not quite sure of what is going on with rap right now either.
One of the themes that you also talk about in this book is the moment you realize like most adults didn't know what they were doing. And or we're trying to make it happen, but
They didn't know what they were doing. It's that they were portraying themselves. When you're a child, and you are, at least in my environment, I was very lucky in that my parents were both wonderful people, both smart people, and very moral people. And I was raised by them, and I assumed all adults would be like that. Very forthright, very honest, very moral people. And I assumed that everybody would not just talk the talk, just walk the walk. And both my parents did that. And I reached a point when I realized, wait a minute, the way people portray themselves and the way they actually are is different. So as a child, I noticed like, why should I listen to this adult? You're not what you say you are. And furthermore, you're not even worthy of my respect. And I'm just 8 years old. It's a harsh realization to have.
I think that probably was the moment you knew you weren't going to be a 9-to-5er.
I think that was the moment when everything kind of started falling to pieces. Like, headed down the path that led me here to the Lower East Side with you.
Well, it's a good place to be.
Yeah, it is.
And we've been in way worse places.
Much worse.
and I could appreciate that when you got to that part with your grandmother saying, you know, it could always be worse. Like, dude, even on the deathbed.
She was dying, bro. She was on, I'll never forget it. And she died, I think, a couple of days, 2 or 3 days after that. She was in a lot of pain, and I walked in, and I'm like, how are you doing, Grandma? She goes, not too good, I reckon. Could always be worse. And I'm like, how? Like, how can it get worse? You're checking out. But
you got to bottle that. Yeah. And you got to spread that around.
Yeah. Yes, dude, she was hard.
Yeah.
She was hard. Raised during the Depression. And when I was a kid, when my parents split up, we moved from North Carolina. My brothers and I moved in with my grandma and my dad for a little bit, and my mom stayed down in North Carolina. And, you know, no blame to be blamed on either parent. I'm glad they split apart. Love them both. They're wonderful people. They just didn't belong together. It just didn't happen, you know? So, and also very lucky in the way that they split up was very adult. They never weaponized the children against each other or anything. They always thought of our best interest. But when we lived with my grandma, she would start telling me if I was complaining about something, she'd be like, you don't know what hard times are. You don't know. And I always thought, yeah, old lady, whatever. You know, I'm a kid. And her childhood was during the Depression.
Yeah.
And
same with my Nana.
Yeah, and then you learn about this stuff, and you're like, holy shit, I don't know what hard times are.
Yeah, we naturally both kind of gravitated to being closer to our inner circle and our families and stuff post our grandmother's passing on, which is what she noticed people weren't doing.
Right. That was
that was very moving and nice to read.
And here's some advice. A lot of the chapter about my grandma came from an interview that I did with her. She died at 100.5 years old, and I interviewed her when I believe she was 93 or 94. I can't remember how old. And I just went to her house and sat with her for a couple of days and just asked her all these questions about what it was like for her growing up. And I'm very grateful for that, because shortly after that, her memory really started slipping. So I got to ask her stuff like, what was your first Christmas like? What do you remember? What do you remember the first boy you ever kissed? Stuff like that. And if you're old, if you have old family members left, like old ones, my recommendation to anyone listening to them is go ask them these questions now.
Yeah.
Do not wait. Like
there's some gems. You're going to get some gems.
And you're going to hear some stuff from a time gone by that simply doesn't exist anymore. And so in interviewing my grandmother about all this stuff,
grabbing the names is hilarious, because that's everyone in my family does that. Curtis Hines. I was like, Curtis Hines?
Yeah.
When I read that part, it's so funny because my brother does that now. My father does that now. My mother-in-law has been doing that. Yeah. She's been living with me, and she'll grab, I'll say like, oh, what was the last concert you went to? Or what was the first concert you went to? And then she'll grab the name of the person who...
like way out of the
but
memory
doesn't
banks.
Remember what they had for breakfast.
Yeah, totally. So you're going to hear stuff. And one of the questions I asked my grandma, though, and it's in the book, is like, I'm like, what do you think is the biggest difference between when you grew up during this Depression era and shortly thereafter and now? And it wasn't like, oh, we have self-driving cars, or everybody has a cell phone, or all this other technology stuff. Or even like social equality stuff. It was more like, she's like, people aren't as close as they used to be. People don't visit the way they used to. And I think that's true. I think there's an epidemic of loneliness in our society. I really do.
It's true. And you see it a lot, especially at the shows. But when you see it, how the shows and the meet and greets and things like that, even the Patreon helps with that. I see the communities, of course, there's always people that take it too far. And the loneliness becomes the earworm that burrows too far. But I think that's why we need to talk about it more.
Yeah.
And just like with death, I think death and loneliness are the two kind of taboo ones, where some people are around a ton of people and are still lonely.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I believe so. I think all this technology that has, and neither you nor I, as much as we joke about being cavemen, because, well, we kind of are in some ways, but neither you and I are Luddites. We're not totally terrified by technology. Obviously, we're using it right now. But
yeah, you did a commercial.
Yeah.
We're going to show your commercial, but finish what you're going to say.
I think that this shifting, this not dependence on this technology, but maybe viewing the relationships that people develop through social media in particular, and viewing those as equal to the equivalent of a real life interaction, a real life relationship, is a false equivalency. It's not the same. It's just not. Like, even I came to New York to do this podcast with you because we're doing it in person, and it would be different than if we're buddies. It would be different than if I did it via remote.
100%.
So I think it's important.
I don't even like live shows. I don't even like to see live videos of bands. It's all a lie.
Yeah.
I hate when I go to the comments and people are like, oh my God, this and that. No, you're hearing like 14 people out of key behind these other people singing. You're not seeing or feeling that energy.
It's not
It's all a lie.
Yeah, it's not real life. And I think that this sort of illusion that I have 1 million Instagram friends or something, you could be you probably want to be one of the loneliest persons in the world if you're sitting there maintaining this huge social media profile and never going out and getting involved in doing things with the people that are actually there in your life that are important. I know that's important to you because I know half the time if I message you, you're going to pick up your niece from Taekwondo or whatever. You're always doing that kind of stuff. And it's super important.
Hey, everybody, quick interruption letting you know today's episode is brought to you by Unbeaten Records. Right now, Jasta Show listeners can save 15% when you go to unbeaten.merchnow.com. Use the code unbeaten15 and get yourself some hard releases from bands like Edict from Rhode Island. Or maybe you want to check out Pure Bliss, their record, Torture Realm, Holding It Down for Syracuse, or bands like Cell and many others. Check out unbeaten.merchnow.com. Once again, that's unbeaten.merchnow.com. And support one of our killer sponsors and some hard, heavy music. Use that code unbeaten15 and save yourself 15%. Big thanks to Unbeaten Records. Now back to the show. It is, and I think you have to work on it. It's a lot of work, and I think the isolation can become destructive.
Right.
It's fun. It's so good to be alone.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a difference.
Philip was really on to when he came up with 5 minutes alone. He was really on to something.
Yeah.
Like now I feel it. Like wow.
There's a difference.
But-
There's a difference between isolation and solitude. I think solitude is important for everyone to a degree. We all need our alone time. We need time to process all this crazy information that the world is putting into us. And I enjoy, for instance, I'm not a morning person. In the morning, I wake up, I have a cup of coffee, hey honey, wave to the lady, and then I go into my room and I'm alone for about an hour. I read my stuff, my philosophy, and drink my coffee, and I wake up slowly, and I'm alone. I'm enjoying my solitude. I don't look at my phone at all for the first hour that I wake up. I'm enjoying being prepared to go into the world. There's a difference between that and hiding from the world and getting caught into loneliness.
I agree. I think when you're getting up, especially, we're so drawn to the phone to the point where that could fuck up your whole day.
Do you keep your phone in the same room as your sleep?
I do, but it's turned off and my Wi-Fi's off now.
Good. I keep mine in a different room.
I even got a fucking EMF blocking blanket. Dude, you want to go woo-woo. I feel like you were going to make a point about Rob Halford's boyfriend that I cut you off. So I want to go back to that. You weren't going to say he was a hobosexual, were you?
No. No.
Did he have some
No, I'm just
I forget
saying,
what the book was.
The book confessed. It's so sad, dude.
Yeah.
I'm finally at the end, and dude, he became an alcoholic and a cokehead, and Judas Priest got huge, and he's doing he has to hide who he is, so he's doing the sketchy cruising thing, and then finally one day he gets sober, and I'm like, yay, he's sober, but he's consumed by loneliness. He's consumed by loneliness. It was such a bummer. I was just like, oh my God, I want this dude to be able to be himself.
Yeah.
And then he came out, and he's just
was different in hardcore and punk. I mean, we knew so many
it
gay
wasn't
people
as
growing up.
It wasn't much.
I mean,
of a
the
big
whole
deal.
scene is so gay if you think about it. It's like sweaty dudes, shirtless, jumping all over each other, grabbing for this phallic thing, trying to fight to grab the thing to sing directly into it.
Yeah.
I mean, so we were way used to it. That's why it always drove me crazy when people would call us homophobes. Like, oh, you're calling us that based off of fucking one joking interview or one joking fucking whatever, trolling someone, you're gonna say that. Meanwhile, we're in the most punk and hardcore was really highly frequented by people from all walks of life, including
and it was a place. I certainly, some of my first gay friends I knew through the punk rock scene they were able to be open.
Yeah,
they come to the show and they're not going to get bashed because there's a bunch of freaks there as well. Yeah. So it's the island of misfit toys.
It just
but
took
I guess in the
80s,
in the metal scene, it was a little more macho oriented, I guess. But Halford, I think, was very surprised when he came out. I was reading that. It was like he was expecting all this hate mail, and he said he got a little, but more than that, he got a lot of like from people.
Well,
like,
some people had read the lyrics and
well,
thought,
it's pretty fucking obvious, right? It's and the kind of the whole leather daddy look. It's kind of obvious. So
Yeah.
he said he got that sort of reaction too, like, "Hey, you idiot, we knew."
Yeah. Let's talk about walking the middle path. I liked that portion of the book because I've, like you, have had very high highs and very low lows.
Yeah,
and so
dude, and that's not sustainable.
No. So the middle path, although sometimes very boring and isolating, can also be very good for the balance. But you gotta admit, and I'm happy that you didn't glorify any of the, like, I didn't feel like any of the post or a pre-Randy Rager moments were glorified.
No.
Did you do that on purpose?
I try not to romance that hoe.
Good. Yeah, same here. Sometimes it's hard.
It's hard, but not really, because for me, look, I have nothing against anybody who wants to have a good time. I cannot judge anyone because I drank enough to get everyone in Greenwich Village drunk. I did enough cocaine to, fund the entire cartels in Mexico for a year. I did it all.
Yeah, you did.
I did it all, and you've seen.
Yeah, and I worked hard. Talk about avoiding. Talk about isolating. Like, stay away from Randy if I know what's good for me.
Yeah, that's right. So you've seen it. So I can't judge anybody that is going through that,
but we've known people that can do one line.
Yeah, of course,
and then not do it for like 5 years.
Yes, which makes no sense.
It's how they're freaks.
What? Yeah, it makes no sense. I don't understand.
We need to study them.
I don't understand anybody who's like, I'm gonna have 1 or 2 beers, right? I'm like, 1 or 2. I've never had 1 or 2 anything in my life. What the fuck are you talking about?
I can't even do one piece of pie.
1 or 2 cops are going to show up, 1 or 2 ambulances, 1 or 2 nights in jail. What's going to happen? That's my 1 or 2. Not like 1 or 2 drinks. That just doesn't work. It doesn't compute. So I put that down, but that's just for me. That being said, I did have some really fucking awesome times partying. But the end result is that I did not want to live anymore. I just didn't want to exist anymore. So I tried to convince myself that I could drink and drug like a normal human being for 22 fucking years. And like I said, I had some good times, but a lot of the times it went dark.
Well, I owe you big time, because one of your Rager moments, and I don't know if Dom can pull this up, if you look up Revolver Metal Gods magazine cover. You were, there was multiple stories. I'm not sure how many we can tell on the podcast, but there's multiple stories involving you from this photo shoot.
Let's not.
But I was trying to be sober at that time.
Oh.
And I was, by hook or by crook, I was hell-bent on making that cover. I was like, I ain't going on the fold-out.
Right.
I'm going on the fucking cover. And of course, they made me look like a weird, like, plastic. Like, I feel like somebody hated me and photoshopped me or something.
Right.
'Cause it made my eyes look fucked up. Like, I look like a doll. It's really weird. But now with Ozzy retiring, and everybody come hang July 5th, Birmingham.
Yeah.
We're all going. Already booked the hotel. Ozzy, original Black Sabbath. You might not even be able to find a high res or even a good picture of that magazine cover.
What are you talking about, Ozfest?
Yes, it was the cover, the Metal Gods Unite cover. I got on the cover because you somehow in your drunken got just pushed over to the fold out, but the fold out was still a killer's row.
Right.
So I was like, look, worst case scenario, if I go on the fold out, because I'm like, they're not gonna crop this, they're gonna spread this into a fold. Right. So I'm like, stay by Ozzy, stay by Uriah, stay by Anselmo, and Anselmo was more lit than you.
Yeah, he was,
which was hard to achieve back then.
It was a tough morning.
Yes. And I just see a table. I see a table with Anselmo, Kerry King, I think KK, maybe
Jimmy Bauer.
Yeah. multiple maniacs.
Rob Halford.
And yep.
Yes.
And you make a beeline for that table. And I was like, this is not going to go well. So I'm going to sit back and I'm going to stay out of the way and stay out of trouble. Because at that point, I was doing everything and anything to not only stay sober, but be viewed as a pro. Because when you have any connection to the hardcore scene.
Yeah, your name is already like, this guy's a Cro-Magnon.
Yes.
We have to take him out of the cage to let him on stage.
Yes. And it was already, I already knew going into that tour, like, I was not allowed to say certain things on stage that then you could just go out and say. So I was like, fuck, I'm already at a disadvantage.
Right.
But
we opened for you on that.
Yes. And
it was us, you guys, and then Slipknot on the second stage.
Yes. But you were already on the trajectory to get that coverage. Like if you had gotten that slot, like I think if you were 1 or 2 Heinekens less, I wouldn't have. But also Corey was cool. Like Corey had the mask on, and then Corey should have been right behind Ozzy. So I got to thank him too. Corey, by the way, he hit me up recently. He wants to do a song with both of us.
Yeah, he hit me up about that too.
I hope that's okay to say on the podcast. So we have to do that.
We absolutely do.
That's like our version. Wait, is this it? No, it's not this one. But if that was a real shoot. Now, I don't think, let's see, who's on there? Who's on there?
Joey Jordison?
Like, actually, I think everybody...
Slash, Chino,
Who's that? Is
Dave
that Andrew
Grohl.
WK? Somebody check on Andrew WK, please, and let us know if he's okay. Where is he?
Jericho.
Shout out to Jericho.
Is that Ben Falgoat from
If that's
Goat
Falgout,
Horde?
that's amazing. Joey, rest in peace. Zach.
Yeah, Lemmy.
Is that Lemmy?
Yeah.
No, it's a different one. It's
That's
Tom Araya,
Lemmy.
me,
And then
Ozzy, Philip. Anyways,
that was the whole thing. There was people from Lacuna Coil, Priest,
Christina. Shout out to Christina. She made it onto the fold out.
Yeah,
that was the one time.
She should have been in the middle. She's way better looking than you and I would.
For sure. But that was the one time that I was like, this might be my only time to get on the cover. I'm not making it on the fold out. So thank you. And then
I'll take it.
Then as you started to get your shit together, it all went to Brent. Like all your old spirit, like I feel like your old spirit animal like dove into Brent and just fucking took over.
Oh, God bless.
Shout out to Brent.
Shout out Brent Hines.
All right, before we get out of here, and thanks so much for your time, Randy. And the book is awesome. Everybody go get it. Just Beyond the Light at your like we have a great store in Connecticut, RJ Julia. We have a bunch of great record stores, bookstores.
Barnes and Nobles will have it. You can pre-order from there. You can get it from Amazon. You can go to your local independent bookseller and say, hey, order this for me. I really appreciate anyone who does this, especially it's out the 18th. Pre-orders super duper help on placement of a book.
And you're going to be a bestseller. You're going to be a New York Times bestseller off this.
Let's hope so.
And they can get it at the tour dates as well, right? Can we plug the tour dates?
Tour dates will start. The book comes out on February 18th. So I will be doing an In Conversation at Powerhouse Arena on February 18th with Mr. Alex Skolnick.
Shout out to Skolnick. One of my favorite rappers.
Yeah, he's a wonderful rapper. He and I will be sitting there and talking about the book. And then the next night I start the spoken word tour in Philadelphia on February 19th. All the dates to that are on www.randyblythe.com. And you can get a ticket that comes with a book and a seat, or you can just get a seat and decide if you want to buy a book there. So I'm going to get up and tell a bunch of ridiculous stories, not from the book. So I don't want to ruin what's in the book. But
no spoilers.
No. I'm going to read about a 5-minute little excerpt from the book. Actually, it's the part we talked about, one of the parts, not about my grandma, but like this sort of split character. I'm going to read that, the two different characters, to explain like this loony war in my head. But and then
what's the positive character, like the angel on your shoulder?
Mr. Relentless Optimism.
Yes. I've tried to be that guy
so
much. I still do.
Yeah, so do I. There's just the dark one and Mr. Relentless Optimism. But then I'm gonna other than that, I'm just gonna tell a bunch of stories. I have a huge list of stories that I've figured out which ones I'm going to focus on, but there were a couple that definitely involved times that I was on Hatebreed holiday. That you never know. I might have to break those.
That's when I realized you were a hoarder too. I was like, look at these books, look at these toys. What is he? And I thought, oh, he's got it like me. And then I would go home and I'm like, why did I buy 15 books that I'm not going to read? But I did read that one that you got me. I think it was like a fanzine made into a book. Mm-hmm. But that's one thing that you've helped me with is reading. Getting me on the cover of Revolver. I'm a cat person now, so thank you.
Yeah,
Rest in peace, Salad. And I have you and Salad framed on my podcast.
I know
studio
it's a beautiful thing.
I got to shout that guy out who sent me that. I always forget. Yeah. But also, I was wondering, are you voicing the audiobook?
Yes.
And when will that be out?
On February 18th.
Same day?
Yeah, same day.
You're so professional and organized.
I try.
It's amazing.
I try, my friend. Yeah, audiobook. This is the first time I'll have an audiobook. I asked when I did my last book, Dark Days, I was like, am I going to get an audiobook? And they're like, well, there's not really a budget for it because Corey Taylor did one for his, but he just went ahead and recorded it and gave it to them. Now my publisher is like, oh, we fucked up. And it was in my contract for this new book that I had to do an audiobook.
Good.
And I had to narrate it. So I think the industry, there's a lot more people listening to them now.
For sure. I love Audible.
Yeah.
It's great. You know what I'm doing right now? You want to talk about woo-woo? Mm-hmm. I don't want to get us like kicked off of YouTube or anything you say like about homeopathic medicine or anything.
You're done.
YouTube is like, nope, we're cashing those Pfizer checks, Moderna, they pay big. So if you say, like if you read the book, like I'm reading The Melatonin Miracle, all these people take high dose melatonin. Have you heard about this?
No.
Oh boy. I don't want to get the thought worm will burrow in your mind. Like last night. Like, do I seem tired? Do I seem out of it?
No.
Dude, I took a lot of melatonin last night. I slept good.
You seem like normal Jamey.
So let me ask you about just a couple things before we go. And I got to get to celebrity questions. It's a new segment on the show.
All right.
We were going to do a yours is, ours is. We were going to do old segments.
Shout out to Lorenzo and RIP to Papa.
Oh, yes.
Papa Antonucci.
Yeah, very sorry to hear that. My condolences to Lorenzo. All my love to Lorenzo.
Yeah, big love to Lorenzo. His papa just passed away, and he's come to New York to attend to family business. So we love you, buddy.
Yes, much love to Lorenzo. He was our theme song, the voice of the yours is, ours is. The segment is going to be celebrity questions.
Yes,
Okay.
I don't know much about celebrities.
Do you know the wrestler CM Punk?
I know vaguely who he is.
Great guy,
That's
friend
what-
of the show.
Okay, yeah,
Supporter.
I don't know much about his career.
He says, "I need to know if you watched the Grammys."
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, bro.
You did not.
No.
Well, we were talking about steak and titties. There was some titties at the Grammys. Let me tell you.
There was. I did. My chick pulled up a couple of clips. Like one, some ding dong journalist came up to Courtney from Spirit Box and was like, "Poppy, congratulations! How are you tonight?" And she's like, "Yes, my name is Poppy. I hope I really win." You know, and it's about time a girl win, but maybe it'll be cool if Knocked Loose won because that chick from Spirit Box, and she's awesome. Totally just did it.
That's even better than the regular interview. Like,
And
that's
then-
going to get $100 million worth of reach,
Sure,
right? Like, you can't
sure.
pay for that type of marketing.
And I was happy that GWAR won.
Yeah, shout out to Gojira.
You know, there's the homies. I've been a long time backer of them. But I don't ever watch the Grammys.
Is that song about poor people killing rich people?
It's a popular song from the French Revolution. It's a traditional song.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if it was just popular during that time.
Okay.
And it was popular with people who were tired of the existing system.
I was surprised they would let that win, seeing as it feels like recently there was people that wanted to do away with the existing system.
Yeah.
And they still do.
They still do. I think the thing about the Grammys, and I've been told and people don't. I think people are always like, they don't know anything about metal and they don't know anything about this and why did this person win? Most of the members of the Recording Academy, and I've been informed this, they don't, because you have to vote for every single category. You can't be like, I'm into metal, I'm a member of the Recording Academy, I'm going to vote for this because that's my expertise. No, you have to vote for every single category. So half the time, a member of the Recording Academy, who is some member of the record industry, whatever, hands it to their secretary and says, fill this out. Right? It's not a jury of your fucking peers. And I'm very proud of Gojira that they got this. And I'm not trying to denigrate their achievements or anything. But the Grammys mean fucking nothing to me. I have 5 nominations.
Who'd you lose to? Do you remember?
No, I don't. I don't fucking care. They don't even send me the invite anymore because I auctioned my Grammy medallions off for charity. You know,
I gotta find mine.
To quote Flavor Flav, who gives a fuck about a goddamn Grammy? Not me. I don't care. I don't care about prizes and I don't need a cookie. If I made what I like, it's cool. Now, I'm not like if that's important to someone else, fine. But I don't give a fuck.
What about? Let's go to Scott Ian. What about Scott Ian's celebrity question?
Yeah.
Randy was an excellent math teacher for Revel on tour. Has he ever thought about adding professor to his title? Professor Randy does have a nice ring to it.
Randy. I've been called Dr. Andel because
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, D. Randall.
Yeah.
DRB.
Yeah.
Does anybody call you DRB?
Every now and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
He says, what's worse, Jamaican street food or AeroPress accident?
Oh. So, as you can see, my hand. I was just in Austin, Texas, doing a podcast, The Daily Stoic, and I carry an AeroPress with me. And for people who don't know what an AeroPress is, because the hotel room coffee always sucks. So I carry a little tiny kettle and a hand grinder. And I was done with all my press and I'm getting ready to go to the airport, but I'm like, I'm going to make some coffee real quick. And I put the AeroPress together and you plunge it. And the directions very clearly say, do not adjust once you've put the water in. That's it. It is what it is. But I, of course, am a dipshit. So I'm like, all right, I don't think that's got enough room. So I pulled it up and then boiling water and coffee grounds come onto my hands. Just, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even yell though. It just was like, oh, I went like this and coffee went everywhere in the bathroom. It looked like a diarrhea grenade though had gone off because it's black coffee grounds. And I'm like, oh shit. So I had to clean everything up because it's someone's grandma who works for housekeeping or whatever. So I clean everything up and I run my hand under cold water. And then I came home and it got a nice 2nd degree burn. So this is.
Did you pop that blister? How hard is it not to pick at that?
Dude, the blister was like this big and I left it alone. And then finally it popped on its own because I started wrapping it in gauze and so forth. But
so you didn't pop it?
No, it popped on its own. It's gross. So I'm going to have a little scar right there. But I don't care. I'm not a hand model. I don't give a shit.
Did you get food poisoning from Jamaican street food at some point?
I got, well, my appendix exploded in Jamaica. And then I got food poisoning recently in Costa Rica. So maybe that's what he's referring to. Jamaican street food, yeah. Because in Jamaica, I thought I had food poisoning, but actually it was my appendix that exploded.
Wow.
I almost died. But then I was surfing in Costa Rica about how long ago was it? Like a month ago? Something like that. And I got food poisoning and it was real bad. But I'm going to say overall, I don't know.
The burn looks worse.
It looks worse, but really the food poisoning ruined my surfing for 3 days that I'd gone all the way to Costa Rica to relax for. So that's overall worse.
When you go to Costa Rica or like Ecuador or any of those places, do you ever see drones or UFOs or anything weird?
No.
Because I've been seeing these fucking drones.
In Connecticut?
Yes. There was one the other night. It was crazy. But they don't have them there?
I've never seen one. I did at my house on Oak Island down in Cape Fear where I wrote the book. One night I was sitting on the front porch with my neighbors and I looked out. It was a block off the ocean. So you could see over the dunes and there's the ocean. I saw these 4 lights all of a sudden just go shoot and appear. And they were in a square, like rectangular formation. Whether those were 4 independent lights or one thing, I don't know. But they moved in a very weird right angle almost.
Like not how normal propulsion would move.
Like I can't remember the plane. I think they're called Harriers or whatever with the things under the wings, the propellers that they can do vertical takeoff and lift off. I guess it would be like that, but it was very precise. Like, and then I was watching them. I was like, what the fuck is that? What is that? And it was directly over the ocean in front of my house. And then all of a sudden it went, and went straight up into the sky, like way faster
than anything you've ever seen.
From 0 to a bazillion miles an hour. And I was freaked out, dude. It scared me. It really did. I was like, that's fucking weird. What the fuck was that? And my neighbors saw it too because they were like, what the fuck was that? We were like, holy fuck, the aliens are coming. But that's the only thing I've ever seen.
So this was before Dark Days when you were writing Dark Days?
Yeah, it was when I was writing Dark Days.
So what year?
But Dark Days came out in 2015, so probably in sometime 2014.
Okay, yeah, because the last time we went to Australia, we were on the flight with Slipknot. Everybody was sleeping, except I think I'll have to ask Jim or his old tech Martin. Martin, if you see this, I think Martin might have. Remember Martin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same thing out the side of the plane, except not dots. It was like the Tic Tac. Have you heard of that Tic Tac shape one where it moves like this and then like on an angle,
right?
And just out of there. And I'm like, please, did somebody see that? Oh my God, my hair was standing up. I was freaking out because it was late. It was an overnight flight. And everybody, you know how everybody puts their blankets over? A lot of people put their blankets over them. So Martin originally had his blanket over him, but not at that point. And I was like, dude, please. I think it was Martin. I'll have to ask.
Right.
But more and more of these sightings are obviously happening, especially in New Jersey. And I wonder if, and how this relates to your book is, you've given me all this new perspective on things.
Right.
Maybe you need to start a podcast to not only delve into topics that maybe you would be open to changing your mind about. Like I think you should call it the official narrative Randy.
Right.
But then I come on as the bad cop.
Yeah.
With the woo-woo and the UFO and the crazy shit, and then you can go, okay, no, this was actually.
Am I allowed to prepare for this? Can I do research?
You can.
So we could go back and forth. Sure.
A limited run, official narrative, because I like.
We could do it, man. And you're in the middle of your heel turn anyway.
Yes, and I appreciate an official narrative. Howard, shout out to Howard. Official narrative, Doc, right? Doc. Yeah. Doc, shout out to Doc Coyle. Official narrative. Building 7. Oh, yeah, no, totally normal.
Right.
Not a controlled demolition. No plane hit it. Totally normal. Fire, done, gone. Skolnick, official narrative.
Official narrative.
Right? So we could have them as guests, but then a couple of people that I know with additional facts and information.
Please don't say alternative facts.
No, additional.
Yeah.
Additional. But no.
I knew we were fucked when that term came into things. Alternative facts. I'm like, Jasta's going to love this. Right?
But that could be a fun one, especially if we get any of them to read The Melatonin Miracle. Because the
Melatonin Miracle.
No, I don't. Listen.
Are you?
This will get me kicked off YouTube, so I don't want to talk about it.
Let's not talk about any melatonin miracles.
But Randy, it's great to see you. I appreciate you, and great job on the book. Awesome getting Duff McKagan to write a nice little blurb on the back. Who wrote the foreword?
There is no foreword.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's good to know. And then what about the Lamb of God record and tour?
What Lamb of God record and tour?
Everyone's patiently waiting.
Everybody can keep fucking waiting.
Is it 2026?
Oh, I have no idea. All I know is that Lamb of God this summer is going to Birmingham, England.
Yes, July 5th.
To play with Black Sabbath on their last show. This is going to be the last show,
Yeah.
too, man.
It is, for sure.
Yeah, this is it. So we're watching.
So maybe we'll do our first, if you're around the day before, maybe we'll do our first official Narrative Randy podcast.
Randy.
Limited run.
Yeah, people fucking, I'll probably get threats over it, though, because you'll bring the cuckoo conspiracy. How could he believe this shit? Doesn't he know? Like the fucking wing nuts that you're.
I won't bring Flat Earth Dave.
Please,
I
dude,
know,
because I can't, man. I can't. I just can't. I can't. You're a fucking idiot. The world is a sphere.
I wish, listen, all I know is that I don't know, but I wish that you would just sit with Flat Earth Dave just for my own entertainment.
Yeah, that's a problem with you. You're entertained by these things way too much,
Are
bro.
you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? Is this not what you came to see?
Well, this has been great. I appreciate you coming on, especially here at the wonderful Gas Digital Studios in the look how pro. I mean, look, we got the book cover on there.
It's fucking sick, dude.
And another great part of the book, I think, is like it's never too late to do something.
That's right.
Write your book, write a poem, write a record.
If you want to do art, man, or whatever you want to do, stop thinking about it. Start doing it.
Anything, any activity.
And you and I both, you even more so than me, are a prime example of that. How old were you when you started booking shows?
13.
13 fucking years old, dude. And then you had what, Jasta 14?
Yeah.
Like, how old were you when you started that?
13.
13. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to book a show. What fucking 13-year-old books bands?
You know, that was just because no one would book us. They looked at me as just like some annoying little kid.
Yeah.
Which I never want to lose that. I always want to be the annoying little
sure.
kid, even when it's making you do a podcast with Flat Earth Dave. But I realize there's limits to that. But I love that about the book. I think that's another great takeaway from the book. Just surfing. I would, at 43, you said, I think, in the book.
Yeah, I started surfing at, I think, 43.
That's incredible because that's a great way to like tap into something that you wouldn't normally do at that age.
Yeah.
I mean, do you access your parasympathetic nervous system, or is it more
When you surf?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the neural pathways for the physical language of surfing were already kind of burned into me from being a lifelong skateboarder.
Right.
So the body language is the same. The sort of, and I mean body language as in the language, the physical language of surfing, not the telltale ways people look at your face or whatever. It's the same. So I instinctively, if I'm going frontside on a wave, I instinctively know how to carve and pump frontside because I've done it skateboarding so many times. It's the same, but the environment is vastly, 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 vastly different. So it's an entirely different experience.
Right. I don't want to give away too much from the book, but that's another cool chapter where I thought about that. I thought, you're talking about a dangerous situation, a potentially really scary, dangerous situation that you have to read the book to find out about. But then also your reaction to that dangerous situation might have been maybe because you were tapped into that parasympathetic. Instead of being in fight, flight, or freeze, you were just zen.
Yeah. It really, and it's surfing for me is it shuts all that off, all the craziness, the analysis. You can only exist. You can only be because the environment is constantly changing. And by the time you think you know what's going to happen, it's changed already.
Yeah. See, breakdowns and ignorant drums, like tribal drums and fucking chugging on the open E does that for me.
Yeah.
Just at my house.
Yeah.
Just alone. Shout out to Testament, because wait till you see this Testament guitar, this Dean guitar they gave me at Milwaukee Metal Fest, which we got to get. I think we need to get you out there.
Did I hear, I believe a little bird told me that you have booked I Hate God at the Milwaukee Metal Fest.
And it's going to be goddamn electric.
It's gonna be-
It's going to be goddamn electric. That's right. Feel the Bauer power. So we got to get you out to there, at least to maybe jump up and do a song with me at the pre-party and sign books, sell the
That'd
books.
be awesome. When is it?
Make
is it
some
this
loot.
year?
May 15th through the 18th.
I look at the schedule, man.
Friday is Down. Saturday is Black Label Society and Devin Townsend and I Hate God and Exodus. Rob Dupe's back in Exodus. Also Sunday is GWAR.
Yeah.
We're trying to get the GWAR-zeum.
Is it still going to be at the Eagles?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have any GWAR memorabilia you can put into the GWAR-zeum?
No, I do not.
So
The only thing I walked away from GWAR with was a broken arm and stained skin and a diminished self-respect.
what character were you?
Shaky slave.
Shaky slave.
Or sketchy slave is what they used to call me. I would get dressed up every now and then. They actually were going to make a Randy character. This was during the active drinking days, where it was going to be me with the devil lock holding a gigantic can of Pabst Blue Ribbon, and I was going to get drunk on stage, and then they were going to behead me or whatever.
This is me as Bone Snapper. See, there was so much that I was.
Oh yeah, I know you wore the Bone Sapper costume.
There was so much I was going to send you before. Like, I didn't even get into I saved all of Brockie's emails. I don't want to show his email address on here, but the Maggot Master.
Yeah.
I saved all those.
Yeah.
And there's some of them are so great.
I wish that is a dude. I spoke at both of his funerals. He's the only motherfucker I know who had to have 2 funerals, and I miss him so much. And I learned so many things from Dave, many of which were just wonderful, and many of which I am deeply ashamed of.
Yes. Well, I was going to let you read this email. You could read this one from Dave. I've told the story on the podcast, but maybe not in explicit detail. I'll save it for the Patreon, but...
Can I read it?
No, please don't. But one of the things, just going into this book and
Jamey, it's Brockie. I'm not going
I used to have great voicemails from him as well. But one of the things that I really appreciate now in trying to be present and trying to be aware and trying to be in the moment is going back and reading some of this stuff from a new place.
New perspective.
Yes. And that's, the really cool theme about your book. Randy, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dom. Shout out to everybody on our Patreon. We are going to roll the new executive producer credits. I don't know if Resident Evil's in there. We might have changed his
shout
name.
him out anyway?
Shout out to Jake Olszewski.
Yeah. Let's talk Resident Evil, who I met
Yes.
at the horror convention I did in Pennsylvania.
Well, they're all pre-ordering your book, and they will all be there at Milwaukee Metal Fest for the pre-party. So I'm going to have to talk to Tim today.
Yeah. And I'll be at the Cincinnati Horror Hound too.
Oh yeah, when is that?
I think it's in April. I think so.
We'll post the link in the show notes. Yeah. I got to go to one of these horror conventions.
It's so cool, dude. The people are so cool. I didn't know what to think. But it's really neat, man.
I really enjoyed your Substack when you wrote about that too. So make sure you sign up to Randy's Substack as well.
Randonesia.substack.com.
Yeah. And we'll be back in a couple days with Sonny Sandoval from POD, who you've collaborated with. And he has a book coming out.
Yeah, I know. He hit me up the other day. He's like, I'm going to send you my book. I was like, we'll trade. I'll send you it. So shout out to him. Sonny's a great dude.
Anyway, we can get a celebrity question from you for Sonny. Oh, and also, can we show you a merch? Can I pitch you a merch item real quick? Do you have time?
Yeah.
We're going to have to do one for Sonny because I want to have Sonny on with Nurgle and have them debate.
Oh, God. You're trying to cause problems so fucking hard.
No, it would be a great spirited debate. And then I think we need merch for both, right? Because Nurgle's like the dark one, and then Sonny's like
he's the Mr. Relentless
Optimism. So here's the Nurgle shirt. Tell me if we'll get canceled for this.
Nurgle with an attitude. Well, we did. Wasn't there someone made the Nurgle Please shirt? Well,
we need that one too. I didn't make it, but I designed it. But what do you think of that one?
That's good.
Would you rock that?
I don't know, man. It's little.
It's on the
It depends on
spectrum.
where. Yeah, I mean,
Possibly offensive.
yeah.
Okay, and then the sunny one we'll have to edit in later.
Right. Did you? But you still haven't gotten to see my commercial yet. I mean.
Oh yes, sorry. We have to watch your commercial. This is Randy's commercial for the book.
Yes.
Do you want to intro it?
This is a commercial I made for my upcoming spoken word tour. I made it myself.
Okay, it's a plug for the tour as well.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
Oh, you clever rascal, you. Oh, hi, everybody. I'm D. Randall Blythe, and I'm here to talk to you about my upcoming spoken word book tour in support of this, my new book, Just Beyond the Light, out February 18th. I'll be appearing in front of thrilled audiences across North America, reading the entire book each evening, followed by a 3-hour discussion concerning my views on the socio-political and economic ramifications of the current Hardly. Look, right here on page 3,847, second paragraph, there's a real zinger about the continued. Shut up! Go sing Walk With Me in Hell or something. What? Shut up and sing!
Stick to music.
Walk with me in hell. Oh my God, I hate that guy. Look. Come on out to the spoken word tour I'm going to do. What it's going to be, it's just me on stage telling a bunch of ridiculous stories from my life. Most of them are pretty funny, at my expense. I'll be having a Q&A afterwards. I'll answer all your questions. And at the end, I'll hang around, sign all the books, and take pictures with you. You can get tickets at www.randybly.com. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys there. I promise there won't be any suit and tie bullshit. Now, excuse me, I'm going to go find that guy and choke him out.
I thought you were going to say, this is your motherfucking invitation.
No, I should have. No, but that's it. That's the commercial.
Very good, very good.
Thought it was
We're going to get
pretty
a lot
fun.
of people over there to hang, get a signing, get a photo.
Yeah.
Bring you a coffee.
I need a coffee.
An orange
An
juice.
orange juice.
A Beck's NA or a Heineken NA?
A athletic brewing from Connecticut.
Are they?
Yeah. Finest NA brewery in the world. Free Wave. NA IPA from
I'm
Connecticut.
so scared of those. I'll drink 30.
I know you want to get fake bombed.
We'll get fake bombed.
Yeah. I need a coffee, an orange juice, an NA.
It's like Kirk says.
What else?
Are those good? Yeah. Good for nothing.
Good for nothing. Shout out, we got Crowball on the Headbangers boat next year.
Yes, I heard.
Yeah.
Kirk is he's on fire right now. He's on tour with Napalm Death.
Yeah.
And Brat and Full of Hell in Europe. So everybody make sure you go see Kirk.
Yeah.
And tell him Randy and Jamey said hello.
Hello.
All right.
All right.
We are out of here. Bye-bye. Drink your coffee. Do your
Ciao,
push-ups.
ciao.
Listen to Inhuman Condition and slay the day. Keep the PMA. All that good stuff.
Peace.
Quick little outro to thank everyone and anyone who's ever supported this podcast, especially Randy. You know, he's been such an integral part of this show since I started it, and I'm really proud of him and how far he's come in his life and how far he's come with Lamb of God and always being there for me. I really appreciate it. There isn't a day that goes by that I'm not grateful for people like Randy who continue to be a positive force in my life, and all of you who've reached out and with excitement about the podcast coming back in full force, and the support of all the shows that are coming up, the Thrash Thursday shows, which, by the way, thank you. We had 2 sold-out shows in January and February. We're coming back March 27th at the Cellar on Treadwell. Big thanks to the Cellar, the whole staff, everybody there. Get your tickets now at martyrstore.net. Also got to thank blastbeatsvinyl.com. Check out a great mom-and-pop shop for your vinyl needs. Use the code JASTA10 at blastbeatsvinyl.com. Also got to thank indiemerchstore.com. Indiemerchstore.com. Use the code JASTA10. And you know we're going to have an indie merch store stage at Milwaukee Metal Fest. Get your tickets for Milwaukee Metal Fest. I will be singing for the SOD tribute. It's going to be a lot of fun. Friday, May 16th. But come for the whole weekend. We're going to be doing the Thrash Thursday show on the 15th. Then we have Down, Chimera, SOD tribute, and others on the 16th. And, of course, Zach Wilde and the Black Label Society. alongside Devin Townsend and many others on Saturday, and Sunday closing it out with the big GWAR 40th anniversary show, which is going to have a ton of surprises, plus Arch Enemy, Dillinger Escape Plan, and many others. Milwaukee Metal Festival.com, or just go to metalfest.com or therave.com/metalfest for tickets. Of course, if you want to support us on the Patreon, you could have heard this episode way sooner, patreon.com/Jasta. And last but certainly not least, check out unbeaten.merchnow.com. Big thanks to Unbeaten Records. Check out all their bands and use the code unbeaten15. And also support upstateny.com. That's Upstate Records, upstate New York. Tons of hardcore, tons of great releases, merch, and more. upstateny.com, or hit their Bandcamp. Sign up to the email list over at jameyjasta.com. Sign up to Gas Digital. And yeah, I will see you out in New Zealand and Australia. We got a bunch of podcasts coming up, though. Sonny from POD, who's got a new book coming out. We got Brandon from Atreyu, and we got the How Awesome Is This podcast coming back with Howard Jones and Charlie Belmore. So we'll put up some of those in the meantime. All right. Love you all. Thank you all. Drink your coffee. Do your push-ups. Listen to death metal. Keep the PMA to the grave. Slay the day. And we'll be back very soon. Bye-bye. Executive producers, AJ Lewis, John Hankus, Garrett Keeping, Nick Torito, JJ Hernandez, Jason Jarvis, Chris Larice, Larry Tooley, Nick Fowler, Daniel Burt, Adam Mecklenburg, Dallas Bolin, Kyle Marg, Morgan Costner, Dominique Zimmer, Kenneth Moore, Benjamin Lee, Jake Olszewski, Mark Tagg, Niall Schollard, Kathy D'Ambrosio, Justin Stephen, Dan Sullivan, Jack Flanders, Mark Loikitz, Fernando Somoza, Andy Wilson, Jeffrey Kewen, Brian Undercoffler, Jay Liberston, Zachary Liberston, Katie Day, The Maniac Diehard, Robert Bouchaw, Jason Duran, Steve Deterting, Dan Ryan, Heathen Assault, Alex Queller, Emma Horgan, Clint Smith, Mike Horgan, Chad Longworth, Mark Horror-Amenta, Chris Winchester, Anthony Luzzi, Nathan Rex Madrid, Samuel Angeli, Chris Shea, Jacob Arensberg, Chad Green, Matthew Yankowskis, Jamie Kutcher, Stephen Helm, Andy, Jared DeWeese, Ryan Levson, Mike Murray, Jonathan Mettis.